Welcome back to the Automation Podcast, the world's #1 industrial automation product and technology show. Thanks to you, our audience of highly skilled automation professionals. Thank you for being a member of our audience, and thank you for tuning back in this week. Now, for anybody who's new to the show, my name is Shawn Tierney of Insights in Automation, and each week I invite a new person on the show to talk about products and technologies. And during the show, I'll point out anything I think that you guys might be interested in. I'll ask questions. If there's visuals, I'll point those out. And, sometimes I have questions too. So you guys have been listening to this long enough, you know me. So in any case, given that a quarter of our audience listens to the show, we want to be cognizant of that. So this is more of an interview style show, but we're going to keep in mind that not all of you can see me waving my hands. So with that said, I do want to welcome Rhonda on the show. She has this wonderful pedigree, startups, all this stuff. She's been working in AI, and they reached out to us and said, hey, she would like to talk about AI in manufacturing, and I think that's so cool, and I'm excited to sit down. But Rhonda, first, before we get into the topic, could you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Certainly. Well, thanks so much, Shawn. Thanks for having me on this wonderful podcast. That is a great podcast for everybody who actually knows how to get their hands dirty and actually does something. I enjoy that. I've been in manufacturing. My background is manufacturing and tech. I've been in manufacturing. I've been in tech. And by tech, I mean software. So I've been a manufacturing consultant. I've written manufacturing software, most notably at Oracle. I was one of the first development managers in Oracle manufacturing. I wrote WIP and I wrote inventory. I was back in '89. You weren't alive back then, were you, Shawn?
No.
Your daddy was, maybe.
I was just graduating college and getting married in '89.
Seriously? Well,
Yeah,
you look fabulous, sir.
Yeah, that's back when I had hair.
I don't miss it. You look great.
Thanks.
No, so this was a long time ago. So I was a manufacturing consultant, and then I was hired to write the software for Oracle manufacturing. So I wrote Oracle manufacturing software, and then and that was a lot of fun until it stopped being fun. And then I started my own startup. I co-founded it with my husband, and we took that one public. So that was called Niku. NIKU was public 2000. You remember those heady days? Those were good days.
Yep.
Niku, we went public. Niku was eventually acquired by CA, and now it's a Broadcom subsidiary. The product line is still called Acuity. It's still there.
Acuity, yeah.
Uh-huh. And and then after that, I co-founded another company, this time in manufacturing. And we did lighting, of all things, the LED lighting, because this was back in the aughts and in the early teens. Yep. And LEDs, that was the bright, shiny new little thing, right? Yeah. Uh-huh. And the technology is fabulous. It's proven itself out, and it's great. But I did a manufacturing company right after this company in tech that I had co-founded and taken public. And I was astonished. The valuations that we were talking about in my tech company were in the billions. The valuations for the company that I founded in manufacturing were in the dozens of millions.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. To ask me which one was harder. Which the daily effort, the manufacturing company where we had a SMT line and we had a full metal working shop, and we had, we had customers all over the globe, or the place that I was, sitting in my office going like this.
I'm guessing manufacturing.
Yeah, it was so hard. It was so hard. It was so hard. And, I made tons of money in the tech world, and I thought, oh, okay, we could do this in manufacturing. We can apply tech to the manufacturing. We can make tons of money. No, we didn't make tons of money. It's really hard to make money in manufacturing. It's really hard to make. And so what my kind of thesis is, why the heck is it so hard to make money in such a valuable industry? It's valuable. I mean, I'm sitting on a chair. Someone had to make the chair. I'm talking to you through a computer. Someone had to make the, someone had to make this mouse. Someone had to make my iPhone. This is valuable stuff. And you look at some of these valuations. Have you taken a look at Xometry's valuation recently. You know, Xometry, of course, the manufacturing on demand company that went public about 21, I think it might have been. Oh my gosh. You know what their stock is doing? Ooh. You know, they go, you know, the high when you go public and then it goes up, all down.
Yeah.
Why is it? Why is it? Well, you know, the obvious answer is it's the financials. Manufacturing company has COGS, cost of goods sold. Tech company doesn't. When you sell a piece of software, do you have to make the piece of software all over again? No, you just make a copy of it, right? So there's COGS. There's additional OPEX requirements. It's a lot harder to run a company when manufacturing because you have to pay people to actually do the, you know, stuff.
Yeah.
You have to pay people to create the automation that does this stuff. You have to pay people to do you have to pay people, you have to pay a lot more people than if you have a tech company. So there's OPEX requirements. There's huge CapEx requirements.
Oh yeah.
You know, the manufacturing company, we had our Amada, tons of Amada machines. We got brake presses, punch presses. We had, you know, water jet cutters, blah, blah, blah. We had a paint booth. We had a SMT line. You know, we had all kinds of stuff. Fun to play with. So very hard to keep up and running, efficient, blah, 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 blah. All those kinds of things. I am incensed whenever I see these tech companies at the valuations that they are for not doing any work. So my shtick, my goal, my spiel is all about why doesn't the manufacturing industry take a couple of lessons from the tech industry? And how about we all get rich at the same time? I think we can. So there's all kinds of things that we could do. And so that is what my current company is called. Hey, Scotty. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bring tech to manufacturing.
You know, I think that sounds great. When I first got in the business back in 1990, after working for a military contractor, doing the electronic stuff, I quickly learned downtime. Now you think downtime, you think Lucy Ball, with pies, right? Hilarious, right? But it's really a joke. But in most facilities, downtime is like a 3-alarm fire. It is like, everybody stop what you're doing. We got to figure out what's wrong, and we need to get back up and running. And anybody who could, and when I hear people talk about downtime as something that's casual, I'm like, yeah, okay, if you're making candles, maybe that's not a big deal. But if you're making an expensive product like microchips or big batches of chemicals, or downtime is like the dirtiest word in your book. And so, and of course, we talk about all the ways AI can help us avoid downtime, which we've been doing for decades, but the technology and the new algorithms and everything is just getting so much better. And so I wanted to ask you, where do you see, what areas of manufacturing do you think are ripest for AI today?
So the obvious answer to that question is everything that is already capable of providing a digital interface. Okay, so pretty much any machine, almost any manufacturer has on the floor has a digital interface. And AI eats data for lunch, right? And in order to have an effective AI model that gives you something more than just a spreadsheet can give you, something that can give you intuition, something that can give you some insights, something that can give you very complicated pattern matching. Those are the things that can be applied in the manufacturing realm to AI. The things that you and I spoke about, just prior to this, all about, PLC controllers. If you have a PLC, you can theoretically get enough data in there so that you can feed it into some kind of AI engine and you can get some insights. The thing that you said about the downtime, that's key. So like I mentioned before, operating expenses and capital expenditures, they're all based upon the premise that you need to be using these as efficiently as possible. The return on assets is extremely important to be able to get as much money out of your manufacturing operation as you possibly can. If you have assets, extremely expensive assets, like for example, we had an SMT machine and it was down, I couldn't ship. I couldn't ship. And the AI applications to those kinds of things are myriad. So, is the machine making this kind of a little noise? Because the last time it made that kind of a little noise, the next day it went kerplop, kerplop, whatever, that kind of a thing. The visual inspection, that's huge. That's huge. So anything that you can do anything that you can do digitally is ripe for AI. And that over the last maybe, year, 2 years, that has been the primary focus of people applying AI to manufacturing. I say that's great, wonderful, and absolutely job number one. That's absolutely job number two. Job number one. What's job number two? I am suggesting something different. I am suggesting it's the front office.
Okay.
And people don't like this idea. People think, well, manufacturing, the magic of manufacturing is always in the back. It's like, no, yes, and no, yes and no. I mean, you have to be good at that. That's kind of like the ante, right? It is a necessary but not sufficient condition for success in manufacturing. What I think is being overlooked at this point is the front office. People are not applying AI to the front office. And if you take a look at manufacturing, the problems that you see because of the problems that you see due to the valuation problems, right? How come manufacturers are not valued as highly as tech companies? It's because they haven't digitized all of their operations. So you might digitize everything on your factory floor. You might have a digital twin. You might have all kinds of little models running around for preventive maintenance. You might have a bunch of robots. You might have a bunch of, little, droids that are going around, doing material movement. And that's great. And that's wonderful. And you will get a much better cost of goods sold because of it. And you will get a much greater gross margin because of it. But if you don't digitize all of your operations, you are still not going to be able to take advantage of everything that AI offers. Most of the AI on the factory floor over the last 30 years has been trying to get the tribal knowledge out of old Joe's head. He's the one who knew how to run the machine. They'd interviewed him and then they made a smarter machine, and then a bunch of people ran that machine and then they made a smarter machine, and so it's little baby steps. The first, so the manufacturing, I think, is good. I think it's valid. I think it's important, and I think it's appropriate. And I think it's number one. If you don't have a digitized factory floor, gosh, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and you are going to get crushed in the next decade because all of your competitors will, and they're going to be able to make those things, whatever it is you're making, for a lot cheaper because they will have digitized it, because they will have applied AI to it, because they will get the insights. That's going to work. What you haven't done, what most manufacturers haven't done, is they have not applied that to the front office, to the sales organizations. With manufacturing, this. If you're in manufacturing, every single inquiry from a new customer is a new thing. They are not going to ask you, okay, how much is this pen? Okay, well, you already know how much the pen is. They're going to ask you, well, can you make it pink, right? Or something. It'll be something different, right? So this is a new quote. This is something new that the manufacturer has to come up with. So the longer it takes them to provide a quote to a potential prospect, the lower the probability of closing that deal is. If you take a look at any tech sale, it's all online. It's all digitized. Did you have to talk to a person to buy your iPhone or your Android? Never. You don't have to. Antivirus stuff. Even buying a commodity product, right? It's easy, it's quick. But if you have to have a long, drawn out conversation every time somebody wants to buy something new from you, that is what's happening right now in manufacturing. And this is what manufacturing is. Every new project is a new design. And each new design needs to be spec'd and then needs to be quoted. How can we quicken this up? How can we make this faster? Because all of my manufacturing buddies, everybody hates this. Everybody says, look, if I could just get a customer who knows exactly what they want, I can quote it really, really quickly, right? And but that communication, it's not there right now. And so if we can digitize basically, this is the supply chain thing. This is the procurement activities. This is the front office in one manufacturer. It's the procurement office of the other manufacturer, right? Because the procurement office is calling you and they're saying, hey, can you make this pink? Can you make this pink? So not a lot of people are doing that because they're afraid of it, because they think that this is their secret sauce. And they think that if they don't quote it carefully, they're going to leave either too much money on the table or they're going to lose their shorts. So there's a lot of Excel-based thinking. There's a lot of pencil and paper, and do you think these things can get into the AI stream? Not that way. They can't. So I'm on a crusade to try and figure out how we can digitize the front office for manufacturing. And I think the answer is fairly obvious. We have CAD drawings. And if we can use that, that's the lingua franca of manufacturing. If you can use CAD drawings, if you can use wire harness drawings, if you can use Gerber files, and PC design is almost there. Because you can buy a PC design over the web and you don't have to talk to anybody and you can get an instant quote. And they can do that because they have Gerber files. Now, for everybody else, particularly in discrete manufacturing, you got a CAD file. If you can use the CAD file as the thing that says, look, quote me this. And then if you can read that CAD file using AI and compare that to other similar jobs that you quoted in the past successfully, then you can speed up your front office operations, so that you don't have to have an army of quoters, an army of estimators that on a good day close 1% of their of their inquiries. 1%. I mean, that's terrible. So that's that. So you asked me, okay, so what's up with AI in manufacturing? To recap, let me recap. To recap, everything on the manufacturing floor, you need a digital twin, and you need to be able to apply AI to it, and you will get the benefits to it. But now expand throughout the entire operations, particularly your front office, and you can do it. That's what I would suggest for people to do. And I'll let that sink in, because I think that this is something, whenever I talk to somebody about this, they're like, huh? But machines, let's play with the machines. It's like, yeah, we can play with the machines, but that, unless you sell something, you don't have a real business, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of manufacturers out there who manufacture in bulk, whether it be paper or other products, and they're plain Jane products. There's very little variability, but there is a lot more smaller shops out there that have a lot of variability. I remember one company was right nearby, they made mini blinds, but they were custom. You could customize it all and have it in 3 days, everything. And being able to do that, what their claim to fame was, their salespeople could help you quickly. But if that could all be done quickly on their website, then just think of all the additional sales they would get, right? And then we take it to higher end products that maybe you have a CAD file or maybe you have a SolidWorks file. And so you're gonna spoon feed. Maybe at the beginning you have an engineer check every one. Make sure every time you add an option to the software, an engineer's checking it to make sure the software's doing things correctly. But as you build confidence, just like when you design a machine and you're writing the program and you're putting products through, you just don't say, hey, the first version of my code is perfect and it's going to make perfect products forever, right?
Yeah.
No, you have to sit there.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am not. Thank you for bringing that up. But I am not suggesting, you get a large language model, have it chew on your old sales data, and then just turn it on, flip the switch, go home. No, that doesn't work. No. I've been in software too long. You don't do that, right?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have to think about, for years we had these historians that were just collecting gobs of data. We never did anything with it. And now we have these AI-driven analytic tools that can look through those millions and billions of records and say, hey, I get some new trends. It's not like condition monitoring where, they they had to examine every motor and find out every vibration it made to figure out every issue that comes with it. This software has now gotten to the point where it can find trends in your existing data that may not be a process the guy who wrote the software ever knew about. And so now we take that and we can see, and again, we got to cut energy costs, right? Always,
Oh
right?
gosh, absolutely, yeah.
We got to maintain productivity even though people are retiring and we're not able to backfill them, right? So we have all these things in manufacturing, so we have to do this intense competition. It's not like Rovio, where you can create 50 games and then land upon Angry Birds and be like, "Hey, we got a winner." I mean, if you created 50 different products that didn't sell, you would be out of business many times over, right? So, but yeah, the data's there. We have it in manufacturing. We got to use it there. But also, I see your point. We need to be using that on the front end too, so we can take more orders, keep our factories running 100% of the time, and stay profitable. So, what are some of the challenges when you're working with people on doing this new venture yours?
Oh,
What are some of the things you run into that like they may not understand just because they've been doing it the old way for so long?
so yeah, good question. So it's the same concerns that everyone has seen about putting automation on the shop floor. Every single one. First of all, is this safe? Number one, is this safe? Number two, who's looking at this data? This is my proprietary data. I'm not going to give this to you. That's number two. Number three is it's too expensive. This is fine. This is fine. My little Excel spreadsheet and my HP calculator, goodness sakes, they've worked for the last 50 years. They're going to work for another 50, kind of a thing. Those are all the same. Those are all the same things. It is a new technology. There is a potential for abuse, and people don't understand it. So number one, first of all, they don't want to do this because, in general, if you take a look at the people who are estimators or quoters in any manufacturing company, they typically have the most experience.
Oh yeah.
You have the ability to make or break a quarter. If you quote the job right or if you quote the job wrong. So this is high stakes. These are high stakes. Similar to any kind of machine you've got on the floor. If that's the thing that's down, if you can't ship, okay, that control system better be pretty bulletproof, right? Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, when you implemented these kinds of shop floor based tech improvements, you did little tiny baby steps, turn it on, but you got a guy monitoring it every single day. And that's how my partners are doing it right now. They're kind of looking over its shoulder every single day. And as there will be learnings, we will learn and we will get better and better. So those are the big problems. But if you don't do that, you don't have a 360-degree view of your whole organization. You might have a 360-degree view of your shop floor. You might have a digital twin of your shop floor. And if it goes in here, it'll goes out here. And that, and you can do your yield analysis and stuff like that, but you can't do RMA analysis, return material authorization, RMA. So it's when something fails in the field and your customer sends it back. You don't know. I mean, maybe Lewis wasn't in that day when, that particular job went shipped out and some idiot, screwed it up, kind of a thing. But in general, and this comes from painful first-person experience. When I was running this company in LA, it was called Rhonda Dibachi. It was a lighting manufacturer. And we did LED lighting for industrial implementation. So we had big lights, like, and we would light up parking lots and parking garages and cold storage facilities and stadiums and arenas and stuff like that. So really, really big lights, really big lights. And these were implemented. These were bought and these were installed by electricians and general contractors, and we would have problems all the time, and we never knew what it was. It was difficult. We could take a look at the QA reports, It's like, okay, well, no, it passed. We could take a look at the pictures that what we took as we loaded it onto the truck. No, it looked good. It looked good there. I'm not sure what it was. We didn't have the full 360-degree view. So if I had to do any kind of analysis on failure, if I had to do an analysis on field failures, I had about a day's worth of work every single time I had to do that, because none of my systems were intelligently connected. If you have a 360-degree view of everything in your organization, including the front office, who did you sell it to? What promises were made then? And then if you take a look at everything that's done in the field, which is actually, we haven't talked about that, but that is another interesting, totally greenfield for AI. Customer post-installation customer support is pretty interesting. If you can get an AI that is looking at your entire organization as basically a large language model, you will be able to understand why that RMA came back. Now, you say downtime is a killer. Yeah, downtime is a killer, but RMAs can kill you even quicker. So we would ship these stuff out, and every time it came back, it was like this little detective bureau. We'd have to try and get together and like, okay, is it our fault? Is it their fault? And the money was big. It's like, okay, we did a stadium once, and the guy's like, no, doesn't turn on, and we're like, oh, geezy. And well, what he did was he kind of messed with it in the field, and we told him not to, and he did it anyway. And but proving that, and proving that with the data that you have, if it's only this much, that you're looking at only what you've done, you're not seeing the whole and complete picture. So that's my premise. That's like, continue. The answer, continue. If you've got it on your shop floor, good for you, good on you, right? Keep going. Put it in HR, put it in the front office, put it in accounting. Boy, I think those accounting people will really be happy, so they don't have to send another letter. You are a little late on this invoice, blah, 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 kind of thing. Yeah. So I'd say, please go for it. Do everything that you possibly can. There is no bad application for AI that I can see in manufacturing.
Yeah, and use the tools. Don't be afraid of the new tools. Not every new tool you get is going to fit the project you're working on. But, be inquisitive, investigate, look out, see what's there, see what's available. A lot of times the vendors will let you try the tools. They'll give you a try before you buy. They'll let you use the software for 30 days. So, yeah, you definitely want to be, and I know I'm like the last one who wants any free samples, because I'm like, what am I going to do with it? I never have any time. But yeah, sometimes, if it fits what you're doing, if it has a potential to solve a problem, a pain point, then it's worth the time to take a look at it. Now, before we wrap up, though, I did want to talk a little bit about what you're doing today, specifically what you're working on. Can you share a little bit about your latest company?
Certainly, yes. So it's called Hey Scotty.
I love it. Red shirt.
Yeah. He's Scotty. He's an engineer. As you know. Yeah. But when I registered the website, I blew it. Scotty on Star Trek is spelled with a Y, and I started with an IE. So, but that's really where the name comes from. So anyway, Hey Scotty it's a pricing engine. It's a pricing engine, an automatic pricing engine. You give me a CAD file, and I'll tell you how much it'll cost to plate it. So I'm only doing plating right now. I'm doing plating and finishing. So things like powder coating, anodizing, electroless nickel plating, those kinds of things. As you can imagine, the pricing is a function of the surface area. Yeah. Duh, So if you take a look at the surface area, which is a metadata tag in most CAD files, you don't have to read it. It's a metadata. You just grab that, put a scaler on it, and then give somebody a value, which is great. But you know what? People didn't like that. So I tried selling that, and they didn't like it. It's like, that's too simple. I'm not going to do that, kind of a thing. So I'm like, okay, I'll slap some AI on it. And so, more to your point of 2 seconds ago, I went to Amazon SageMaker. SageMaker development environment, they'll give it to you for free, and they'll, you get on GitHub and you ask ChatGPT, how do I do this? And, and lo and behold, I have an AI engine, and I trained it on my data. So I was in the online finishing business, and I used this pricing engine for myself. And so that's how I did it. And after a couple of years of thinking, hey, this is interesting, I think other people can use it. And people were kind of like saying, can I use it? But they weren't excited about it. So I started the AI thing, and people were more excited about it. But the way I started the AI thing is I use my own data. So I use my own data, and you learn, like you said before, you just play around with it a little bit. So I played around with it. And so I've got a process to efficiently train a large language model on past sales data for the finishing operations. So anybody wants to come and take a look at this, I'll show you how to do it. I will give you a trained AI model that you will be able to plug in as a WordPress plugin on your website. And so you can give your customers a true e-commerce experience if you want to. This will improve your reach. This will improve the speed of interacting with your customers. You will know more about them, and they will look upon you as someone who knows what they're doing. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm having a ball. This AI stuff is fantastic. ChatGPT is my best friend. It's a he. I don't know why, but it's a he. And he is my favorite IT guy, because I can ask him really stupid questions and he doesn't laugh at me or call me an idiot, kind of a thing. But I love it, and I think it's fun, and I'm having a blast. And I hope you are too. I'm sure you're like knee deep in this stuff, right?
Actually, I'm only covering it, and one of the common threads that I keep telling the audience is, look, you have these products to improve your plant. You have these projects you want to get funded to improve your plant. There's these issues you've been dealing with for many years. You know how to solve them. You can never get them funded. But guess what? They all now have AI in their name. So put that on the top of your proposal. We need to implement AI, and you'll be surprised how fast in many places it's going to get approved. And you're not lying, because AI is, it's kind of like you can't buy a TV today. It's not a smart TV, right? You can't buy a phone that's not a smartphone. Well, I guess you can, but it's hard, right? People expect it now. And so today, everything you're buying, they're using the latest algorithms, the latest machine learning, the latest large language models or small language models or whatever, and everybody's calling it AI because they have to get in on, they have to be part of it, right? They're saying, hey, this is next, I like to say, hey, this is next gen 2, right? And so everybody needs to get in on it. And so put AI in your proposal, especially if the product does say AI or machine learning, and you'll have a better chance of getting it approved, because people are going to intuitively know, hey, this is next gen. I'm not buying a dumb TV anymore. I'm buying a smart TV, right? And so I think it's very interesting, and I encourage the audience, if this is something that you would like to try out, especially if you're in the have that type of connection with the sales side of the business. A lot of engineers do, not all, but a lot of engineers do. They get brought in on all the quarterly meetings and the monthly meetings on production. Hey, can we take this order? Do we have the throughput? So, this is something maybe you and your buyer or your quoter can talk with. And I know there's a lot of small machine shops and OEMs out there listening too. So this may be something you want to check out. And what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Please come to my website. It's heyscottie.com, HEYSCOTTIE, or give me an email. Send me an email. My name is Rhonda, RHONDA, at heyscottie.com.
Hey, Scotty. And yes, he's a little engineer with a red shirt, so we know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
I hope everybody knows. All right. So anything else before we close out the show? Did we cover everything you wanted to address?
All of which, with one exception. I would love to hear. Now, you have talked to more people about AI than I have. Probably.
I don't know.
I would say kind of.
I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know how many people you talk to, but go ahead. I'm being silly.
You're in media, you talk for a living, right? So what do you think is the biggest misconception about AI right now? I mean, we've
Oh,
gone through all of the tropes, right? I mean, it's just like, what's the biggest misconception?
I keep going back to a gentleman, an older gentleman who I met on, my wife and I went to Ireland for the first time, and it was beautiful, a bus tour. We had dinners at castles. And this one older gentleman, he seemed like he was a C-level type person. He was convinced that AI was Skynet, right? It was so self-aware, self-knowledgeable, independent, and AI today was actually creating the new AIs. People didn't have to do anything. Pretty soon, nobody would have to have a job anymore. And I run into that quite a bit. And so whenever one of these big software companies like Aviva or Rockwell or Siemens or Banner, one of these companies and Schneider, whenever they have an article that addresses that point, I always call it out in my shows because there was even one recently, I think it was the Aviva article where they said, we don't even know if we can define artificial general intelligence. Like everybody's
Yeah.
using that word, but there's no good description of it, right? And so being more of the engineering, the hands-on people, I think machine learning, I think self-teach, I think analytics, condition monitoring, vibration analysis. I think these are the things that we've been using and they're just getting better and better and better. And trying to get away from that Skynet, and some people don't think Skynet's a good thing. Most of us know Skynet destroyed the human race, but in any case, so a lot of times I say the Matrix. All right, let's think the Matrix. Okay, so when you're thinking of AI, think of the Matrix, and Neo was not a happy camper being in that world, right? So but a lot of people they give AI, and I don't know what the government has behind closed doors. I'm just talking about what's available for the general public, right? And I do ask all government officials not to develop Skynet. But aside from that, what we have commercially, this is, and I encourage people learn about. We constantly reference IEEE Spectrum, the IEEE, right? Has a magazine called Spectrum, and they also have a website. They talk a lot about AI, and it does a great job of really explaining the bits and bytes, and taking it out of this nebulous thing that can do anything. It's like everybody's hopes and dreams. Ah, yeah. So I guess have you heard a lot? What would yours be?
That
So
is
that's
that
mine.
is yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that the general public has a bias towards thinking that AI is this all powerful thing. Whereas if anyone who has played around with AI for more than 5 minutes realizes, for example, ChatGPT can't count. Have you ever asked it to give you 5 paragraphs of something? It doesn't give you 5 paragraphs. It gives you 4 or 3 or 17, kind of a thing. So, if you use it, more to your point from earlier in this conversation, if you use it, you really can have a much better understanding of what it is good for and what it just really does not do well yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some people think it's going to change tomorrow. It could. Everything could change tomorrow. But in most cases, things develop over time and they grow. You know, Granted, when we got smartphones and we got a camera on our smartphones, social media had a whole new meaning, right? It wasn't just your private website on MySpace. Now it was like, hey, I can share pictures of the kids every day, right? Or the dogs or the cats or whatever. But
Sure, yeah.
so there are those inflection points where hey, you know what? I can stream my movies from Netflix instead of ordering the DVD. Let's try this. This is
Yes.
great. I don't have
Yeah.
to wait anymore. So there are those moments. But again, the technology always slowly evolves. So while the application may be new to us, we shouldn't expect that tomorrow we're going to tune in and AIs take over the world. Again, to all the military and government people listening, we don't want that to happen.
No,
So
that would be bad. Yeah.
that's not what we voted for. So,
No. Good.
well, that's all I had. Did you want to say anything else?
Thank you. No, it was a pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed your insights, and I sincerely enjoy your background. For anybody who's just listening in, this is a fabulous background. He's got so many components plugged into what looks like basically like one big plug-in, but he's got everything plugged in, and there's all kinds of these, controllers and stuff, and I can't really figure out exactly what there is, but there's a lot, and it looks cool. And it kind of looks like you're in this very brightly lit lair because this can be anything.
Yeah, we wanted to do this from Studio A. So any of the regular people watching, I wanted to do this in Studio A, but it didn't come together. So I'm back in the office, which doesn't have the lighting like Studio A does. But and what's behind me, as you guys will know, is the old Studio A wall of hardware with all the different PLCs and HMIs. But Rhonda, I really want to thank you for coming on. Really enjoyed talking about this with you. It was great to hear about your background and all the different things you did and how you're applying AI today at Hey Scotty. And I just want to wish you the best of luck and thank you again for coming on.
Thanks so much, Shawn. It was very nice talking to you. Hope to talk to you soon.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode, and I want to thank Rhonda for coming on the show and talking tech with us. I also want to thank you for tuning back in this week. I do want to thank theautomationschool.com that sponsored this episode, and I want to thank our members who got exclusive access to the video edition of this episode because this episode was not sponsored by our guest. And so if you want to learn more about becoming a member and get 4 to 5 exclusive videos every week, you can do so at theautomationblog.com/join. It costs $10 a month or 1 cup of coffee a week. So by becoming a member, you're supporting my work and you're keeping the show going. Speaking of keeping the show going, please let me know if you enjoyed this episode. Give me a like, a sub, and a share so I know that you like this style of episode. And also, I wanted to let you know that I've just launched the audience choice polls for this year. I'm doing a little bit earlier this year. I didn't want to wait until we were in the middle of Christmas shopping or the holiday plans. So if you go over to theautomationblog.com right now, you will see the first poll is up, and it's asking what your 3 favorite automation vendors are. You know, those vendors you like to work with over and over again. So if you could, take a minute, head up to theautomationblog.com and vote in today's audience choice poll. It really helps me know who you want me to cover in 2025. So I really appreciate it, guys. I think it's a lot of fun, too. We'll have new polls every couple of days. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys pick as your favorite automation vendors. You can pick up the 3, and if you don't see one in the list, it's a pretty long list, but if you don't see one in there, there is an other field where you can add another vendor as well. So with all that said, I want to wish you guys an awesome week. I want to wish you good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.